I'm turning the corner. 2021.
Little victories are sometimes all you need.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's
You know?
it.
I'll take it.
Right, Zoom link makes all the difference.
Doesn't it?
On the first try, it's like, what? I'm in the right place.
Yeah, seriously. Because I think a couple of meetings in a row, it's just like, I can see you all. And it's like, is Lincoln coming up? I'm like, I'm here. I'm here. Hello. I was like in the upside down. I'm just like, guys, I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, Cal, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Cal.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Gail, I can never remember what our number is for our quorum here.
17.
17?
I think that's what it is, isn't it, Gail?
Yeah.
Why do I keep doing that?
Hey, LeVar. Hi, Sherilyn. How are you?
Shoot.
Hi, Gina. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Hey, Sherilyn. First official meeting here with a new title. That's awesome to see.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg. Thank you much.
Yep,
Hello,
yep,
everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Kyla.
Hi, how
Welcome.
are
Here
you?
we go. Hello.
So welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Now everybody's coming in. It's almost 6:30.
Chris, I'm spinning again saying that Outlook is not responding.
Okay. Hugo, can you please head over to Dr. Pruitt Adams' office?
Yes, I'll start heading over there.
Thank you.
Do you want me to start recording?
You know what? I can take care of it. I've got co-host, so
Okay.
I'll start recording when we're ready.
I'm going to turn my volume off so we don't disturb you guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Now,
What's up, Janelle?
Happy New Year. Hi, Chase.
Happy New Year.
Hi.
Doesn't really feel like New Year to me until March, but you know, I know we do the January thing. It's like spring is New Year to me.
Mm-hmm.
But my birthday is January 2nd, so you know, I got to be a year older. Look at that baby, Nisa. Adorable.
Happy
Hey, Sarah.
birthday.
Yeah,
Happy belated birthday.
Absolutely.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
Oh, beautiful baby.
Oh.
Oh, those babies on your picture. I mean, really.
They are not as nice as they look. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Don't
Francis.
let those faces fool you.
Don't let the smiles fool you.
We've got the 17. Wait a minute, because Lincoln doesn't count and you don't count, right, Gail?
Correct.
So we need, we got 18. We need one more there.
One more. Lincoln doesn't count?
No.
Oh, and I'm waiting on
More?
Hugo.
Lincoln doesn't.
I mean, Lincoln, you absolutely count. But just for the record, Lincoln,
You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
count as part of the quorum.
we could not do the work without you, Lincoln.
No
but
worries, no worries.
Just, you know what we mean. We need a quorum. And it looks like we have it there with, hey, welcome Karen, and with Jackie.
I'm still having technical difficulties, but I don't know.
Well, I think we have a quorum. Are we good?
We're good.
Awesome. So I'll call to order the meeting of the Culture and Climate Behavior Committee of District 200 and ask for a roll call.
Yes. Dr. Pruitt-Adams,
Present.
Dr. Ammons,
Present.
Mr. Johnson,
Present.
Dr. Sanders,
Present.
Ms. Francoise Blue. No, not
I
yet.
am present.
Oh,
And
thank you.
Francois Blue.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Jackie Moore,
Here.
Ms. Harris,
Here.
Ms. Dixon Spivey,
Here.
Mr. Boxler. I don't believe he's here.
This here.
Pardon?
Here.
Oh, okay. Ms. Jones McLeod,
Here.
Ms. Bishop,
Here.
Ms. Gabadon,
Here.
Ms. Perellis,
Here.
Mr. Martin. Okay. Mr. Baktamagas.
Bektimba, and I'm here.
Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson,
Here.
Ms. Nitschke, Ms. Francis, I'm sorry, Ms. Kraft.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Starks Turner. Ms. Steffens,
Here.
Ms. McQueen. Ms. Stigger,
Here.
Mr. Davis,
Here.
Ms. Grimes,
Here.
and we're good. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not. Mr. Keybread Henry. No, okay. That's it, we're good.
Thank you. And welcome, everyone. I would welcome a motion to approve the minutes from December 2nd.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
I'm going to mute for a minute here.
Thanks, Dr. Prudence. And Gil, that's just a vote, right? All in favor?
It's a voice vote, right?
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Hey, Gil, could I also say, without objection, we will approve the minutes? I'll ask you about
Yes,
this. I
that
like
would be
that.
fine.
I love the without objection. So, welcome to 2021, amazing committee. We have work to do to provide feedback, but also we have work to do because for those of you who have not always been on the committee, there was an accountability committee that was separate from the Culture, Climate, and Behavior Committee. And we've merged those two together. So our committee now has an accountability function as well. So tonight we'll hear reports about the state of the school and some other information and be able to provide feedback about that. Now, our scope of our work here is to provide input based on our experience in the community as community constituents. So, and from all the different various ways, I see Mr. Henry just arrived, Gail.
Oh, good.
So so your input, I know I say this a lot and regularly, your input is really valid. And our committee, a lot of the things that we've seen happen have come from this committee over the years. So it's not a small feat that we say yes to showing up here, especially amidst everything happening in our country and in our community. And we have to, what I feel is always be vigilant and honest about what we see and what we experience, because sometimes you have to call a thing in order for us to be able to address the thing. And so racism is not welcome, and we need to address it whenever we see it. So I was thinking for our circle tonight, a lot has transpired in the last week, and especially in the last month since we've all connected. School districts are making plans to put people back into buildings, which I don't agree with. I've been public about that. And people are fearful. And there's a lot going on. And there's a lot of emotions and a lot of not only emotions, but opinions. But some things are fact. And harm is a fact. So what I wanted us to do in our circle tonight briefly, because we only have about 20 minutes for our circle and we have 23 people on our committee. But it is important that we still continue to practice this. It's still important that we still continue to know each other beyond what we do on a regular basis, because those relationships are the things that drive us to be able to do the work differently. And in order for our community to be different, we have to do the work differently, which means we have to have relationships with each other. So I want to ask our committee here, as we said about this work of accountability, how do the relationships that we've developed on this committee, the relationships in us getting to know each other, impact the work for you? And by the work, I mean the work of addressing institutionalized racism. So our relationships that we have, how we're getting to know each other, the time we take to do this every meeting, how does that impact you and your ability to not only serve, but to be part of what we consider accountability measures for our district? I know it's a big question, but you know me, I'm always going to ask a big question. I will go actually, we're going to do it differently tonight. I'm going to call on a person and then let the next person call on them, the next person. So you get to choose. So the first person I would like to start with tonight is Karen Grimes.
I said, no, don't start with me. So, I think it's harder in Zoom, but rather than our nice circle that we've had in previous years, but I do feel like I'm getting to know people better. And I particularly enjoy having administrators at the school be all the same. You know what I'm saying? It just humanizes, it takes away rank, it makes everybody on a personal level. And I've appreciated that. And I think it does make our work going together easier.
Thanks, Karen. Who are you going to call on?
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm going to call him Francis. Miss Kraft.
Thanks, Karen. I guess the biggest piece of this for me personally is that in this group with CCB, I feel like we don't have to kind of beat around the bush and go through all of the talk that happens a lot. I feel like we're all on the same page. And I feel that could lend itself toward us just getting stuff done. I feel like we're all in this on the same page. And so I think it enables us to go deep and just start getting some important stuff done. And I'll call on Kyla.
Thank you, Miss Kraft. I'm Kyla, and I think for me, coming in as a student, I was prepared to come into CCB where adults would just not be ready to listen to input, and that they wouldn't be prepared to hear our opinions or what we thought, even though I believe that student opinion, I'm biased, is one of the most important in our schools. So I was really glad to be welcomed in and have my opinion be held up as important as the other adults in the room. And I'll pass to another student, Chase.
I would say getting to know each other really helps us have better discussions and do more productive work, because I think the more you know someone, the easier it is to have uncomfortable discussions. And if you're comfortable with someone and you can have those discussions about certain topics, then you can get a lot more work done with someone that you maybe just met. And I will popcorn over to Talib.
That Chase chose you next. We're going to come back to him. Chase, pick somebody else.
Miss Stevens, would you like to go?
Thank you, Chase. That warms my heart. Thank you. And I would say this circle process is key. I don't know how to underline it enough, because we're authentic. It breaks down roles. It and also breaks down stereotypes we might have, implicit bias that may be working that we don't even realize. Because when people come to circle and say parts, bring more of everything of who they are. So it's key to this work.
Ask you, Susan.
Okay, Melanie.
Oh, Melanie, you just got here. Our question was, what about this work, us staying true to doing this circle and the relationships that we develop impacts your ability and our ability to actually do the work that we have to do around accountability and institutional racism?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a big question.
I think my answer is going to be a little short. I think we made big strides with the racial equity policy. But personally, I do think we could, I know, COVID's an issue, but I think this group particularly could do better in relationships just with each other. And I think it is important that we have the opportunity to listen and hear each other. But I still think it's pointless if we don't bring it into our homes to help make our communities better by sharing the work that we do, explaining things factually, and checking ourselves if something that we have suggested or something that we have implemented doesn't work right, so that we get it right sooner than later, make the correction sooner than later. I feel like more recently with things that have been going on in our community, it would have been, how do I don't know what way to put it, but I feel like we should have had a meeting before this meeting to talk about things and how this is relating to our students, how they're dealing with things that are going on in the community. So I guess for me, it doesn't have to just be this, regular meeting every month and this is, where it ends, and then there's work that goes on behind the scenes. But I feel like recently our neighborhood has needed us, and we could have been more effective, both through Zoom and in person.
Thanks, Melanie. And who do you want to pass to?
I have no idea who hasn't spoken yet.
The students have gone except for Talib, but we're not sure if he
Talib, are you there? I want to hear from them. So
I am
Talib,
here.
are you there? Okay, I choose you.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on because, of course, my school computer, the camera doesn't work. So,
Oh, dig.
Yeah, I want to throw you guys under the bus, but maybe that's what we should be focusing on. But I would say that I really liked what I heard about humanizing the administration, because I think that it does put everyone on an equal playing field when usually when you evaluate responses, you have preconceived notions that the administration must be above the students and that one opinion must be valued over the other. But I think it really puts everyone's opinion on an equal playing field. And when you're able to do that, you're able to come to solutions that really have an effect for all people. And it's not just the students, and doesn't just benefit one party, but I don't know, bipartisanship, I guess you can say, if we want to go a little bit deeper into that. But I think responses are really value greater when you're able to humanize the people you're working with, and even the people you sometimes feel like you're working against.
Thank you, Talib. Who do you want to call on next?
Mr. Johnson, have you gone yet?
I have not.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. So I'll tell you, when you asked the question first, Gina, the first thing that popped in my mind is that especially during the pandemic, and it's true as Talib just suggested in a regular world, but certainly during the pandemic, we can find ourselves as administrators talking to the same 20 people for the bulk of our lives, much less our work days. And so what this committee does, it's a nice way to see fresh faces on a recurring basis that can kind of get you out of the mindset that you're already in. And I will say it's been true in previous years, but particularly this year, not only have we been able to get real in a lot of our conversations, but we've had in a few key instances some very interesting and thought-provoking divergent levels of thinking. So we've had a lot of talk about how it's really good to be around a bunch of like-minded folks. And I think that's true when we think about our purpose as a team. But I think it's really important that we feel safe and individually charged in this space to be divergent from one another, to challenge ourselves throughout that space. And that is valuable because it's not the same kind of challenging voices that I get throughout my administrative life. So that is necessary for the work. It reminds us of the purpose of why we're doing this to begin with. So.
Past you, Greg.
I keep forgetting that. Let me go to Francis. I don't think, Francis, you've spoken, right?
You did.
You did? I'm just, Nichelle.
Hey, everybody. So I'm fairly new to this, but not to the community and a lot of people here. But I think this is an opportunity, much like everyone has already said, to humanize who all of us are, not even just admin, but for us to be humanized and be authentic and really move the needle. And like Melanie said too, I think we could do more. I really do. And I think we could be more courageous. When I think back to Karen Grimes and her table conversations and the dinners that we used to do here in Oak Park, I just feel like I don't know what we're doing. You know, today I've been saying it feels like an episode of Melrose Place. I don't know if you guys remember that show, but it's been a hot mess, and I'm going to be very authentic and real. And so I feel like I need a Karen Grimes day where we sit down at dinner and we have a few questions and we figure this out. And for those of you who ever did a diversity dinner, know what that's about. And I don't know how we get back to that place, but we need to fast. Yeah. And I'm going to pass it on to my girl, Dr. Jackie Moore.
Thanks, Michelle. I was hoping I wouldn't be last picked. Just some flashbacks to childhood softball games. I am very appreciative of the circle process, particularly for this group, because of what's been stated about how we are all of our voices are equal in the room. I feel as though the challenge that, or actually the struggle I'm having a little bit has to do with how we take this group to the next level. And I always feel so empowered by Circle, and I feel like we lose that a bit when we have presentations, and maybe that's more so this year, but that our accountability and our ability to put what we've talked about and learned and how we challenge each other out beyond this group, so that the board, the community, that the accountability that we talk about and that we ascribe to, and that the board has charged us with, is a little more real than it feels right now. I don't want this. At times I feel as though this gives me great energy, but I want that to be shared and not isolated within CCB. And I will pass to Sherilyn Jones-McLeod.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Good evening, everyone. Being a newish member to Oak Park in general, Oak Park the school, pretty new, and also new to this committee, about a year or so, well, half the year we spent in quarantine, but this group has been good to get to learn people in the community, in the school, our divergent and similar thoughts, and figuring out how we can work together to achieve the goals of the group and the goals of the community. I agree that we could probably be doing more, but I'm not as connected to the community yet. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I don't know. So this is a great start, at least a great place to hear the conversations and the things that are happening that I don't know, I'm not aware of, to know where to go to tap into different things. So hopefully in the midst of COVID, we can do more, but definitely in the aftermath of COVID, we can do even greater things. I will popcorn over to Ms. Spivey.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think we keep talking about COVID, but how not, right? I think it's been super helpful for me just to hear everyone's perspectives, especially since I don't see anybody ever during the day. So it's really helpful for me to get to meet some new people. There's a bunch of you that I had not met before coming on CCB. And I'm just always really grateful to get a perspective that's different from mine as a parent, different from mine as a board member. It's really, really helpful for me to hear from lots of people in our community. So I'm just really grateful for all of you for being so open and honest in your dialogue. And so for me, I think that's been hugely helpful and, you know, certainly educational. I like to just sort of sit and listen and hear everyone's perspectives. So thank you for that. And thank you, Regina. You're a very good facilitator. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. So my son is turning on cartoons. So with that, I will go over to Mr. Davis.
We understand, Sarah. It's okay.
I should not have said it, right? That's what brought it on.
Hello, Happy New Year, everyone. What I like about the committee is I like the diversity. I like the compassion that everyone has for equity. I like the fact that there are students here to contribute to actually what's going on. I appreciate people that have been in the school business for a number of years versus people who are fairly new. And sometimes the opinions don't match, but that's fine. Everyone is allowed to disagree or agree to disagree, I should say. I look forward to accomplishing something by the end of the year so that we can send these students away with a positive attitude. And I think we've got a lot of work to do with the way the world is right now. Thank you. And I pass it on to Lincoln.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, everyone. Wow. Yeah, this is very this is an energizing and humbling group to be a part of. Energizing in the sense that since I've been able to kind of be around and see the evolution of it, um, bringing the new voices in, the new perspectives. I think we all are here for the same purpose, but I do think we have a large diversity of thought. And I appreciate that we can have these conversations in a respectful manner as we try to move forward. But it's humbling in the sense that, um, I think we've made a lot of great progress, but again, there's just so much. And what I'm hearing, and I think it's a great move, is that as we think about the evolution, how do we make this more than the monthly check-in? Because a lot happens in the community from meeting to meeting. I've seen a few of you all in different contexts since we last met and talking about the same issues, but just in a different context. So how do we start to think more about integrating this effort and this energy into the larger space? And I'm definitely down for that conversation. And I will pass to Roxana.
Thank you, Lincoln. Well, 2 years ago, I actually asked to be on this committee because large part of my job is culture and climate in the building. And I felt that this is a great opportunity to have direct access to our stakeholders and hear different perspectives. And that has been true. I've really appreciated everybody's opinions, and I feel it helps me do my job better. I know a lot of people talked about how COVID impacted us, but I want to remind us that many of us have met when we were still in person, and I think that helps us to have effective meetings now because we carry over those relationships that we started building when we met in person. Thank you. I will pass it on to Kabrib.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. I've really loved the work here. And what I think I appreciate the most about this committee is the diversity of the stakeholders, from the students to the administration staff, and just community members. And seeing the racial equity piece come into fruition, because I was a bit of a cynic just because of, I grew up in the South and you don't see things change as often. And I was pleasantly surprised of how we actually made some movement in the racial equity piece at OPRF. And just everyone's, I guess, fervor for getting into the conversations last year and just kind of really digging into it, which was humbling is one word I can use. It also just inspiring. It kind of rejuvenated me. In so much it made me actually decide to finally run for the school board. So we can start seeing, because it's one thing to make, I guess, be on a committee and have discussions. And my daughter graduated last year, but as a school board member, I just want to keep this passion going. For my daughter's gone, but hey, I have 2 sons coming up, and there's the next generation after that, so on and so forth. So I think the work is so important, and this committee is so key because of the authentic and open dialogues we have. So I will then pass it on to Dr. Adams. Did you talk yet?
No.
No. Okay, I'm gonna throw it to you then.
I knew you were. That's why I put my hand down.
I saw you trying to hide like in the back of the classroom. I was like, nope, Dr. Adams.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your board candidacy. I wish you luck. I've been on the committee now, wow, 5 years. And one of the things that I like about this committee is, I think I heard several people say it, there's no hierarchy. Everybody's equal. And so everybody's voice carries the same weight. There's no one's voice who supersedes the other. The other thing that I think that I enjoy that I enjoy about this committee is there are no hidden agendas. You know, as an administrator, a lot of times you sit on committees and the people who are there have their own hidden agendas, and it's all about self and what they want. And in this group, our agenda is about making our institution better for our kids, and that's what pushes everyone. There is one regret though that I have, and there's a voice that's missing in this group, and I think that voice is maybe, I don't want to say by choice, but there's a voice that's missing that when you talk about the village, there's some villagers that are missing, and I would hope that at some point those people that are missing, and I'm sure some of you know the people that are missing here, uh, would be here because our students have powerful voices, our parents and communities have powerful voices, and sometimes we need to hear that and to listen to that.
Pass to Dr. Pruitt Adams. I think we have Shalima and Janelle.
And Chris. I don't think Christine got a chance to talk, or Dave Waxel.
Phil LeVar.
Yeah,
So
or Dave. Okay.
who am I going to call? Or LeVar. Let's see. Since I roped him into tonight's meeting, I'm going to pick on Chris.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm not an official member of the committee. I get in now and then. It's always a pleasure. What is really great about it is we're tech. We are the nuts and bolts, and we figure out devices and connections and wires and plug things in. And when we are able to make those connections and facilitate work like this committee is doing, when we're able to take data and turn it into something meaningful and something that can be used by a group of people who are dedicated towards improving the lives of our students in our community. That's the big difference. There was a short period of time I worked in the cubicle, couldn't stand it because it wasn't meaningful. And so it's a real pleasure to be working with this committee and making those connections into something that can turn into positive change for our community.
I don't know if Shalima had a chance either. So as we pick on people.
Yeah.
Let's
go to Shalima. Yeah.
All right. I think the one thing for me that I don't feel like we probably shed the light on as much as other more explicit forms of not or racially biased acts. I think that we don't spend a lot of time acknowledging and shining a light on the microaggressions that play a huge impact on the relationships that we have with each other, on the relationships that we have with students and families. To me, sometimes I think those are more painful to endure than the more explicit behaviors. And I don't know if I'm saying as eloquently as someone else may say it, but those play a part in the psyche more so for me than anything, the microaggressions. And we don't spend a lot of time shedding the light on those microaggressions. Do I need to pass it? Did somebody else didn't go yet? So who was that?
David and Janelle.
Go ahead, Janelle.
LeVar.
I just pivoted to Janelle.
Hi. So I appreciate being a part of this committee for a number of reasons. The circle part of this committee just increases the depth of the relationships that we're building with each other and how deeply we can get to know each other. And I feel that that is essential to building trust. And the trust is essential to getting work done. And so I am appreciative of that aspect of the time that we spend together. In addition, a lot of complaints about the high school are about the work that I particularly do every day. And so it is important that people get to know me as a person and know who I am, so that if something comes across one way, you can at least say, well, I know Janelle. And so it must be some other reason. It is important because this work is important to me. I've done it for a very long time. It is important that people know me for who I am as a person and my character. And I get a chance for you to get a chance to do that in this setting where I wouldn't be able to be having these conversations on a regular basis with so many of you in any other circumstance.
Let's go to LeVar and then to David.
I can barely hear you.
Well, I'm sorry. Let's go to LeVar and then to David.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll be quick. Good evening and happy New Year to everyone. Like Cheryl Lynn, I was introduced to CCB last year, and what I really appreciate about this group is number one, I get to learn about the community and the folks who represent the different sectors of the community. Secondly, I've been, of course, in other educational institutions, and I've been doing this work for quite some time, and I haven't had an opportunity to be in a space like CCB. Again, the value of all the various perspectives in the space, especially relative to the racial equity work that has to be done. And then there's this level of intentionality, right? To use Gina's term, we call a thing in here, right? And I've been in other spaces where that necessarily hasn't been the case, and kind of beat around the bush when we're talking about issues or concerns or challenges about race and race relations. And again, just really appreciating the time that we take to build our relationships, because that's at the foundation of really addressing the concerns around making experiences better, not only for ourselves, but students of color in our institution and in the community. So yeah, that's what I'm appreciative of. And I will pass it over to Mr. Walsler.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. So I think the main thing for me for CCB has been the collaboration and the confidence it gives me working with such a diverse group to get things done. And I've been in with CCB almost 4 years now, and of all the committees that I've been on, this committee seems to get things done, but we take everybody into consideration, we take different opinions, and we work together as a collaborative group to push the agenda forward and to push the envelope. In regards to Gina Harris, I love the way we do these circles, especially when we're in the boardroom, because I like how we leave our chairs and tables and sit around in a circle, because it allows everybody to be equal, whether you're a student or an administrator or a parent. And I think that helps, because I'm getting so many different perspectives, but we all have the same goal. Thank you.
Excuse me. I don't, we usually allow Hugo to talk, and I haven't heard Lincoln's voice yet.
Lincoln shared.
Did he? I don't remember hearing that. I'm sorry, Lincoln.
Because Lincoln counts. Lincoln is important.
That's right. You did say that.
But Hugo, we would love to hear from you as well. Yes, thank you.
Sorry,
Joy.
what was the question? I was in the middle of troubleshooting something.
Yes, I know you're doing all our tech work for us. Thank you. It was what based on what do our relationships and by doing Circle, how does that impact the work that we do here as far as holding like accountability for the work we do around institutional racism?
So how does this well, I think from what I've heard is that it lets everybody's voice, be heard, and I think that's really important. Just like you're doing right now. I mean, you let everybody's voice be heard, and I think that's a really good first step towards just what was that thing? Well, yeah, I guess like I said, it's just like a really good first step, just hearing everybody else's point of view.
Thank you. And we always offer Gail, but Gail always says, I'm just going to pass. Gail?
Pass.
See, I just knew it. I had a feeling. So thank you all so much. I think there's a couple things that I heard that I'm going to circle back to and probably circle back to in an email, but then I got to talk to Gail because we function under the Open Meetings Act. And I don't know what that means about us moving forward together though, because what Melanie said about we could do more, I do feel that the capital of experience in this group here and connection in our community and desire for real change, like we can do more. So now I got to talk to Gail about, well, what can we do, Gail? What's within the parameters of our OMA to make sure that like we're within, specifications. Now I know that we have a charge that's very specific to the high school and to our accountability to the school board and for as far as it pertains to culture, climate, and behavior within our district. But man, I just know the power in this group and the collective wisdom that just came through from everyone speaking. And I'm like, don't tell me we could do more and me not say we gonna do some more. So, okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But we have a lot of good information to share because the board got to hear this report already, but you guys aren't gonna get the whole, don't worry, we won't be here till midnight like the board is. They're gonna
the whole report, no.
They promised to keep it very brief. Like they know that I always say, can we have like 15 minutes of you telling so that we can talk, so we can have opportunity to really share. So thank you, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. I'll turn it over.
And I think Nisa joined us. I thought I saw her.
I saw her too.
She was here and then she got kicked off and she's back and she would like to answer that question.
Great. Nisa, please do.
Sorry, I actually missed the question because I was in and out.
Okay, so the question was, what about our relationships that we build by doing this circle process at the beginning of our meeting actually helps you in our work for impacting and altering institutional racism in our school here that we serve?
Sure. I think it helps us get to know each other. I don't know a lot of you, so it helps me like build those relationships and understand where everyone's coming from. And I think that perspective builds trust in that we're all kind of working towards the same outcome. And I think that makes it easier to do work together versus against each other. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
Everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm just texting Greg. Greg, are you going to share your screen then? Okay. Okay, so as
Let me go presentation mode on this.
Okay.
How is that, everybody? Is that reasonably viewable for you all?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to look at my own screen because when we get to the numbers, they're going to be really tiny on your screen, Greg. But I'll still tell you when to click. As Ms. Harris said, part of the work of CCB is to be the accountability component for the strategic plan. And prior to last year, we would do an update on the strategic plan. Since that time, we've done what we call a state of the district. And the state of the district report encompasses the Illinois State Report Card, the 5 essentials, where we are with the strategic plan, and then our data dashboard. So if you click to the next slide, Greg, I almost called you Gail. So our mission, or what we're all here for, is really, and we heard that today in Circle, it's all about the kids. It's all about the students and giving them voice, making them feel welcome, and making sure that all the work that we do on CCB is centered around them. Next slide, please. So I won't go through this slide. It's just about our mission is to provide a dynamic, supportive learning environment that cultivates knowledge, skill, character, and strives for equity and excellence for all of our students. So you guys have received this. So I'm going to skip the accomplishments slide. If you would skip that one, Greg. You received it early. You can look at it. But I want to get to where we are. This slide that you see now with the dashboard evolved out of CCB. One of the things we heard for years was we need a data dashboard. We need a data dashboard. And we realized that we couldn't have a separate data dashboard for CCB that didn't encompass all the work in the district. So this is our data dashboard. You can find it on our website. And Greg, if you could click on the Illinois State Report Card one.
On this slide, actually, it's not live. So if you want me to, let me go see which one that is. I think it's much further in the presentation. Oh, it's slide 10, actually. I'll get to it. Hold on a second.
Okay, don't worry about it. We'll get to it.
Okay.
So we'll cover, and on our dashboard, the first one you see is tied to the Illinois State Report Card. And when you go into there, you will see how we as a district are doing as it relates to those key standards and indicators that have been identified by the state of Illinois. When you look at it this year, though, as we will point out, due to COVID, the assessments that were normally given were not given. And so a lot of the data is stagnant. The one in the middle, which is our strategic dashboard, will take you to the focus we had for last year with our strategic plan under our priorities of racial equity, transformative education, which also funnels through supportive, God, I just lost my train of thought, which also funnels through transformative education, holistic community education, and teaching and learning, supportive learning environment. And then the last dashboard will focus on, really came from CCB, which helped us last year to really pinpoint those key indicators that our community at any point in time could go on and look at. Next slide, please. As you heard me say, due to COVID, the Illinois State Report Card, a lot of data was stagnant. And so every district designation stayed the same for this year. We as a district fall into the commendable range, which means that as a school, we have, our school has no underperforming student groups. Our graduation rate is greater than 67%. And, but our performance is not quite in that top 10%, which is where we want to go. Next slide. This slide just simply tells you how the Illinois State Report Card is weighted. 75% is on academic indicators. The other 25% is on school quality and student success indicators. There are two indicators, college and career readiness and fine arts, that were supposed to be kicked in this year with the Illinois State Report Card, but due to COVID were not. The next slide, please. Okay. So this again explains that based upon where we currently are with the Illinois State Report Card, our data stays the same as it relates to our designation. So there's no data due to the pandemic for English language arts performance, math proficiency, or our science proficiency. The indicators that we do have data for 1920 is the graduation rate, which is 95%, which is up from last year. Our chronic absenteeism stayed stagnant. Our 5 essentials climate survey, we're rated at moderately organized for improvement, and I will speak more to that later. And our current ninth graders, or last year's ninth graders on track, were 91.8% on track for graduation on time. I think this may be the live one, Greg. Is it?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay, if you would click on that, please.
You want the Illinois State Report Card here?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just lost it on my screen, so I'm gonna have to blow you back up here. And if you can make that a little bit larger. Due to technical difficulties, I lost it. If you want to speak to this page, and I'll pull mine back up because I can't read that.
Yeah, no problem. So this is really the organizing page for our strategic dashboard on our website. And what's really of most use is not this kind of explanatory page here, so to be respectful of our time, but this next link that is slowly coming up. We like to build the enthusiasm for our strategic dashboard. So this is a nice little snapshot. These are taken from the state report card. They're put in here, and where possible, you can click on these and get a little bit deeper background information. But again, this is really designed as, just like it says, a quick snapshot of where we are with indicators beyond those which are used to develop our summative designation, that commendable status that Dr. Pruitt-Adams spoke to. You can see where we are on a variety of metrics. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll see all of kind of the subcategories that the state tracks relative to our state report card. So main indicators here, district environment overall, which speaks to not only funding, but kind of the other kind of more qualitative measures like our aim to be reflected in a climate survey, as well as information about our students, our overall enrollment, and racial, ethnic diversity, SES status, and so on and so forth, all right, throughout this. And the last one that this speaks to is student achievement as you go down. And these are really those main indicators that the state tracks.
The other piece is, if you see where it says district environment, and if you click on the climate survey, slow the boot up, that will also take you directly to the 5 essentials and the report that comes from the 5 essentials.
Right. And there's a link here. Now, this is not a live link. There's no good way to do that on this slide, the way that it's formatted from ACRA, the folks that we work with, but it's cut and pastable, of course. So
if you would click on the strategy tab, please.
Yep.
So the strategy tab takes us to the strategic plan. And so what you see on this page are the goals, are focused for the 2021 school year and the 1920 school year. So Greg, if you would go down to the 1920 school year and click on priority 1, which was racial equity. And I'm operating with not watching you right now. I just want you to know that.
No worries.
Because I'm on my screen. And if I could get it to move, I would, but I can't. So if you look at priority 1, which was racial equity, there were 4 objectives that were focused on: developing a framework and timeline for the racial equity policy procedure, 100% completed. Developing and publishing the procedures for implementing policy 7:12, which is our racial equity policy with metrics. We're about 90% there, not quite done. To prioritize the order of the policy sections and resources for consideration. And then the last one was to complete the assessment of school culture and learning environment, of which you can see we only accomplished about 20% of that. If you would go now, Greg, to transformative ed. I'm going to try to speak a little bit faster. Okay, under transformative ed, there were 7 indicators. And of those 7 indicators, Transformative ed was encompassing holistic community education, supportive learning environment, as well as engaging our students in the active part of learning. And so Greg is going to speak a little bit more to you in a few minutes about these indicators, but right now, implementing a comprehensive database system to monitor and support each student academically, 75% accomplished. And when you see that a goal is not totally accomplished, I do want to remind this group, those of you who have worked with us before, that the strategic plan is not a one-year plan, it is a 5-year plan. And so every year we go in and we look at where we are, which is what we're reporting on to you today. And then we decide how to continue to move forward within the guise of that 5-year window. So you will have some things that start at one point and end at another. And so what you're just seeing here is what we did last year. We did our post-high school plans for our students. We're about 75% there. We're 50% along the way of decreasing the disparity between our overall student demographics. For students receiving at least one discipline referral, and this group has heard about the individual behavior education plan that is critical to making this happen. And I will say that that is a part of the work of CCB as well. And there are students who receive 5 or more tardies. That too is some of the work that we've done out of CCB, because one of the overarching goals for CCB was reducing the number of our students of color who were tardy for first period and class and classes throughout the day. With regards to percentage of our students who feel that they are welcome, this too was a goal from CCB, really wanting to begin to build an environment in our school that really makes our students feel like they have voice and they are welcome. And as you know, we have student voice across all aspects of our school now. And then we also have a framework called CAL, a culture of warmth. And it is all about building relationships with our students. The next one under transformative ed was to increase overall participation in our extracurricular activities while increasing the representative of our demographics across those as well. And we're 50% of the way there. Another one was to decrease the opportunity gap for our Black, African American, and Hispanic students as measured by those earning honors credit through freshman year. You're going to hear more about this when Greg gives his update on where we are with the revamp of the freshman curriculum. And the last but certainly not least under there was to decrease the opportunity gaps for our Black, African American, and Hispanic students based upon honors credit throughout high school. These were our 5-year goals. If you could click on transformative leadership, there were 3 strategies that fall under transformative leadership from last year, and that was to improve the quality and accountability of our employee evaluation tool. We actually implemented an electronic evaluation tool. We're not 100% there because COVID hit, and so we were not able to implement it to full capacity, but we will have done that this year. Increase a representation of our minority teachers. We're 55% of the way there, and then 65% of the way there with increasing minority representation across all employees. When you get a chance on our website to go into the strategic plan, you will actually see the metrics for each of these. And then the last priority 4, is operations, facilities, and finance. And there were 3 strategies that were focused on in the 2019-2020 school year that have been completed. And that was the 5-year financial projections to be annually presented to the board, to complete the design for Reimagine OPRF Project 1, and to present to the Board of Education a preliminary balanced budget for fiscal year 2021. That's last year. Our focus for this year, I'm going to go through because it's 7:30 really fast, is for equity. We have 3 focuses, and one is to substantially implement our racial equity procedures by July 2021. Right now, we're about 70% there. And as you know, every meeting we have in CCB, other than today, Dr. Ammons has given a report on where we are with the implementation of the racial equity procedures. The other is to identify the long-term comprehensive equity partnership By May 2021, we're going to have to go back and revisit this one. I do want to also say for those individuals who don't have a lot of knowledge about strategic plans, it is a living, breathing document. And so at any point in time, you can go in and make an adjustment. This one we will have to make an adjustment to because we will not accomplish that by May of 2021. And then to develop a framework that is aligned to our Illinois state funding model, which is also comes out of our racial equity policy when it talked about having a funding stream and framework in place that supports where our students are and what we want to do for our students and being more student focused. Transformative ed, I'm just going to hit on some of these because Greg is going to really focus on a lot in his presentation. And it just really repeats where we are with looking at our career clusters, where we are with data-driven organization, our strategic planning process, our 2-year outline for job-embedded coaching and professional development, trauma-informed, becoming a trauma-informed school. Ms. Sterling McLeod is one of our newest trauma-informed specialists. I hope I said that right. And then to fully design a multi-tier system of reports, you're going to hear about that from Greg. I'm not going to hit those because I really want to be conscious of our time, and it's already after 7:30, but you have the opportunity to go on our website and look at any of these at any point in time. Under Transformative Leadership, we really want to focus on, if you click on that, Greg, we really want to focus on our new teachers of color, our diverse hires, and then how do we really increase our satisfaction with emphasis on employees of color, which will help us also retain our staff, because a lot of times there's a revolving door. Under priority 4, which is operations, facilities, and finance, there are 7 for this year. As you know, we accomplished all for last year. We're still in the process of our 2020 budget process. When you see an asterisk, identify benchmark district expenditures that align and do not align to the evidence-based funding. That's one of the goals that the board identified for me as the superintendent. And then the second one, to also make sure that our resources are aligned and really hit on our determined strategic outcomes. That too is a board identified goal. And then to evaluate our current public-facing dashboard. Okay, I'm going to go out of that, Greg.
We're getting close to time.
I know, that's why I'm going to stop.
Thank you, Dr. Pruitt-Adams.
It's a lot. If we could let Greg just go really quickly over some of the key points of his presentation about the long-term goals, because this does lead into our data dashboard.
Yeah, so I guess really quickly, we wanted to just kind of explain to this group a little bit about how we are kind of taking each one of these areas that Dr. Pruitt-Adams just spoke to and trying to drill down and make sure we develop some a clear plan for how we are going to accomplish these and hold ourselves accountable in the various meetings that we have, throughout the school year, which admittedly has been a challenge. And so, because we haven't been in our normal meeting spaces as we always have been in previous years, but the work absolutely has to go on. And so we have aligned that work to the state outcomes that you saw on that last slide. And I'm clicking through very quickly. This actually probably, let me go back and forth here. So just 2 things I'm going to highlight here. I'm going to ignore the internal, the green that you see here. And what you will see listed here in the left-hand column in blue are those specific strategies that are listed for 2021 regarding transformative teaching and learning. And this is kind of the roadmap that we've set for ourselves for how we are going to go about achieving this in the organization. I'm going to put a plug in there for Dr. Chandler here. You see down here in the bottom left, an eval of our API calculation process. He has been instrumental in our work with that, pushing our thinking in a lot of different ways of both me and Kristen McKee, our coordinator of learning analytics. So that's been cool. And then what we've set here on the right-hand side are kind of how we, after the rigmarole what we do with adults in the organization and how we want to kind of realize this kind of in a more human way, right, with our success indicators. What are those metrics that we want to be able to point to that, yes, we've achieved those things? And we've mapped those out here in the right-hand column as well. So I'm not going to go through those in great detail. I won't, given our time, respecting what we have, the 20 minutes we have left here. But you can go back and take a look at this. This is how we plan to hold ourselves accountable with real outcomes for our kids, for the strategies that we put in place for ourselves. One caveat very quickly is that you'll see number 5 for both the top and the bottom references growth targets that we know we want to set for the PSAT for our students. And there's a whole rich conversation that can be had about so much of this. PSAT in many ways, of course, is a problematic test, but in many ways too, it is a test that kids take with them when they leave the high school. How they do on this test matters for their lives outside the school. And as a result of that, we do need to focus on that. We do need to pay attention to that. So we do want to set growth targets based off of how our students are performing in various disaggregated groups and our student population overall as a whole. But doing that means that, but we can't do that in the current moment because we don't have a full flight of tests in front of us because of the disruption of the pandemic. So I wanted to point that out. And I really think that's it.
Go ahead.
Just really quickly, I want to point out that the rest of this presentation, while I won't go through these slides in great detail, they do illustrate how we are charting our and monitoring our students in our current COVID environment. And you'll be able to see how we're taking a look at learning loss, although there's some fascinating studies out there that learning loss is a beginnings, initial studies that are coming out that learning loss is a very problematic concept for us to consider educationally, in how it has been operationalized in a lot of the media leading up to now. But we're taking a look at both kind of standard assessments that we give every year as far as STAR reading and math, and we are taking a look at grade rate distributions, which we are in the process right now of updating based off of the semester grades that we are getting in right now for first semester. They're due today. And so anyway, you can just click through this and see how we are kind of tracking grade data and our learning loss data. That was really quick, a horrible way to go through these slides, but it's a brief preview of what's here. Gina, how did we do? Did we do okay?
One thing.
You did good. You did good.
One thing, please go to that last link because CCB pushed for us to have this data dashboard. And so I want them to see the results of that. So if you could click on the interactive dashboard, because a lot
this guy here, yeah.
Yes, we don't realize what comes out of this group. And with Lincoln pushing and leading me into conversations with members from the data and assessment group, it takes a bit to load up. I want you guys to know that this is updated. The only thing that's not there right now, that's not updated, is the information that we could not generate because of COVID and the Illinois State Report Card. But at any point in time, you can go in and pull up reports and generate reports that you want about graduation rate, students on track, attendance, discipline, student achievement, student performance, student participation, college and career readiness, and our climate data. And you can generate those reports based on race and ethnicity, special ed, free and reduced lunch. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you all for keeping it brief as you could possibly keep it. It's a ton of information, but that was why we sent it to the committee in advance too, right? You guys got all that information back before the break after our first meeting, and we sent it again, I believe. So, and you'll have access to it so we can continue to ask questions about it. I just want to make one comment, then I'm going to open it up to the group. And my comment really, it's not even a question for you all. It's truly a comment. We have been talking so much about how we're going to create education differently since this pandemic. And since we have, we have this opportunity, all the veils have been lifted. We're very clear on the inequities in the systems. And the metrics that we always look at is a big piece of if we're doing education differently, we need to be looking at different things, right? So just looking at discipline data is not going to necessarily tell us what we need to know, as well as a standardized test. So as we're navigating this and the conversation keeps coming back to, we're going to do education differently, here's our opportunity to create it differently. I want to open up the minds of our committee as we offer accountability and feedback to the, our incredible admin, that like, what does it look like to do it differently? Because these same standardized tests of metrics that we don't have, and all this accountability that we're holding to this one ideal of what it needs to be, are there other ways for us to continue to look at things? So I just want to throw that out there, and I want to open it up to any comments. And if you want to just jump in or raise your hand, feel free. You know how our forum is. Dr. Pruitt Adams, go ahead.
I want to say one of our goals is to, one of the first components of the racial equity policy is the racial equity analysis tool. And our hope in some of the conversations Dr. Ammons and I have had, and we had it with Board President Spivey last week, was really how can we as a board and administration begin to look at how the decisions we make at that level funnel through the racial equity lens and the racial equity analysis tool, and helping us to really begin to not to break what you just said, to break out of that stigma of this is what we have to look at and do. And then how do we then take that and transcend it down through the work that we do in every single classroom every day?
Thank you. So I want to open it up to the committee for comments about what you've seen. Are there pieces, especially as it pertains to accountability? We could see some of the strides that have been made and places that there are still gaps. So students first, do you all have anything you'd like to jump in on? Okay. The floor is open. I don't see hands up. Just unmute yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Melanie.
I just want to go back to, I guess, the very beginning of this particular meeting and reflecting on what we're about and why we're here. And I think I say it every year, but one of the reasons I joined the Culture, Climate, and Behavior Committee was because I wanted to dig deep and dive into what the culture of our school is, what the climate of our school is with our students, and these behaviors that we were not liking. We wanted to change the behaviors that we were seeing, both from teacher to student, student to teacher, student to the institution, and the racism that was built into the institution, the core of it, if you will. So when we talk about what we could be doing and what we could do more, I always go back to those three things. And now that we've been doing e-learning for, I guess it's a full year now, not a year and a half, but a full year now, have we checked in with our students virtually? What is this e-culture now like? Are we looking at how our students are connecting with the teachers? Are the teachers connecting with the students? Is that effective? In our first semester, we basically had to just scrap it because it was new for everybody. Well, we can't say that it's new anymore. We just looked at a presentation where we have no data. So now what do we do? Do we now look back at what could have been? Do we look at the probability of what could have happened? Do we now factor in all of the failures and failing that happened with our students the spring semester of last year, and say, well, if they had not failed, this is where our students could have been, or this is what we've done now in regards to this now e-learning culture. That's the first thing. The second thing, go ahead.
Before you go, can we answer that so that then we can get to your second part? Because some of the slides that Greg didn't get to show you today talked about learning loss. It talked about culture. We did several thought exchanges, really trying to get a handle from what our kids were feeling and about relationship building. So the data is there. The data we don't have, the data that was missing was the state mandated testing data. That we don't have to get the gauge on how our students, based upon state standards, performed academically. But many of the charts in that presentation are the charts and the data that are being gathered tied to just those things you spoke about: learning loss, how it's impacting students, and what we can do differently as we move forward to support them.
And then as we talk about the climate, the school is the heart of the community. The community, or the world, if you will, depending on who you speak with, may say it's out of control, or they may say, you know, we're at the beginning of a revolution. However you want to look at it, it's something that needs to be talked about. And what is that climate like for kids? We have children that are being taught hate at home. We've had that conversation here. Hate is not taught in the schools, it's brought into the school. That climate has been heightened now. We have things happening in our neighborhood where our kids skateboard by all the time. You have adults wondering if our students are the ones that are causing the havoc, or if they know the people who are causing the havoc. So again, in regards to the climate, are we putting together things, or suggesting to teachers, you know, just take some time to ask, how are the students feeling about what's going on? Does anybody need to talk? Does anybody need any after school time? Do you need me to hook you up with your counselor? Do you want to talk to me? Are we doing those kinds of things in regards to the climate and how hot it is right now, what's going on? And go ahead.
Greg, Dr. LeVar, and Janelle could even, I think, speak to, all three could speak to that. So Greg, I don't know if you want to talk about some of what's been done. I know Janelle has made presentations to CCB on what we're doing with Pep Squad, on what we're doing with the behavior intervention plan. It is our hope to build upon that also with our trauma-informed response. But Greg, if you want to speak to how the afternoon schedule is even built in to support kids.
Yeah, I do want to make sure that I get as much kind of this kind of feedback coming in as possible. And so that afternoon, though, and if we take a look at our hybrid learning plan, right, that we presented, the afternoon is designed specifically for this purpose, to address the kind of socially emotional space that our kids are in right now in a variety of different ways, both that are kind of allowing kids to kind of respond to spaces that we provide here, but also ways that we can reach out proactively and reach out to kids through a variety of programs that are going on, not just through our counselors, but with a variety of others as well. So there's a host in there that I'd be happy to go through and talk about more thoroughly, but that's what that space is for.
And then lastly, the behaviors. I think you guys can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. The Zoom, I heard of the Zoom booming that was going on. Yeah. So the e-learning behaviors, is that something that has now, you know, changed now that we're into 2021? We got a grasp on that. There's no new types of behaviors that are happening now that we're in this, you know, this e-learning stage that we've been able to get in front of or educate our students about, in the appropriate etiquette for having an e-learning class experience.
Yeah.
And then I would further ask the students that are on right now, all of these things are in place. Do you guys agree? Do you know what Mr. Johnson and what Dr. Pruitt-Adams are referring to? Have you, seen this funnel through to your classrooms or with your counselors, or are you guys just having class as usual?
I just want to say something quickly about what you mentioned. The climate is really hot right now. And I had one teacher who I don't think this is a part of anything in place, just reached out on that last day of break and said, my email is open today. If you want to send the emails, you just want to get your feelings out, if you want my opinion, anything. And I think that was the above and beyond response. And then took it a step further. In that first day back in class, we spent almost the entire class period discussing what had happened and our opinions. And I think that is having that. Obviously, we can't take up all the class time in the world, even though I wish we could. It was, to me, the most impactful thing was just having that time to discuss. I have not utilized the after school time that is built into the afternoon. I know that's there. Most of my teachers actually do either morning meetings or meetings in that break between classes because a lot of people have other things to do after school. So that's just my experience.
Thank you, Kyla. Guys, I want to hear from you too.
Yeah, I also wanted to go off of that. I know I was cutting out before, so if I do, I'm sorry. But having a teacher who is there for you and is making any kind of sign that they actually care for you. Currently, I only have one, Miss Kamash, bless her soul. She is reaching out. She is taking time out of class to let you know. She's pulling people into small groups. She's doing discussions. She's the one teacher that she's one of those teachers that you get once a year or maybe once a career that genuinely cares. And I really wish that we just had more teachers. Maybe it's just we go ahead and give teachers like one day to just say, pull kids out to the side of class, go ahead and have breakout rooms, have discussions, because you can't expect 15, 16, 17, 8-year-olds to be able to go through such a crazy time that adults can't even go through right now and not have emotional support. And I'm not saying emotional support where they have to go out of
brother
their way.
Talib. Amen, brother. You said it.
Exactly. To go out of their way to go ahead and contact other people. That shouldn't be their jobs. A 13-year-old shouldn't, 14-year-old shouldn't have to reach out to be able to get the help they need. It should be, and I know it's really hard and it's easier said than done just to go ahead and get people the help they need. But I think just giving a day for teachers and just every class to be able to take a moment and kind of soak in everything that's going on right now and at least give the kids a chance for discussion, because I know I can barely handle it. And if I barely can, I know a lot of friends who can't. So I just think, policy and all this is great, but like, can we just take out a day? Can we do something that's clear and meaningful and that shows action and care for the students?
Thank you, Talib.
Can I just ask a question? You said one teacher, so your first day back, you had 7 periods or 8, I can't remember anymore, 7 or 8 or 6. How were the other classes? What was the state of our country and the state of our village introduced at all, or I just am curious how it was addressed?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I had Miss Kamash 8th period, and then for my other 3 periods I had that day, it wasn't addressed. It was welcome back. There was no, hi, did anyone hear back from their colleges? There was no, have you thought about what's happening at the Capitol right now? What do you think about the riots? What do you think about this? There was no communication. We started off the class period like nothing had happened. Math continues as usual. Literature continues as usual. It's just they don't take into account what's happening right now. And I'm not saying they're robots and they don't understand what's happening. And maybe they don't feel appropriately, prepared to talk about such heavy issues like what's happening at the Capitol. But teachers are the people that are supposed to be talking to you about what's happening right now. So I don't know what we can do, but I know that just taking time out of the day, even if they aren't prepared, let the students have a conversation.
I would say basically what Talib said. I only had one teacher out of all of my class periods discuss it. And it was really upsetting because I had expected, even for the teachers who aren't prepared to have these conversations, to at least acknowledge it. It felt like the lack of acknowledgement, especially because we're not just talking about Capitol Hill. We're talking about things are happening in Oak Park right now. People are like carrying out racist acts, and that's affecting us. That's right here. And so I think if you just go through the day without ever acknowledging it, that's ignorant.
Yeah,
I want to interject. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. No, you go right ahead.
Yeah, I similar to Talib, I only had 2 teachers of mine address the situation. And even though they addressed it, there wasn't really like a cool down period. They were like, oh, something happened. And we were like, okay, yeah, we all know that part. But I think even if teachers aren't prepared to have like a discussion or a conversation about like current events that they might feel uncomfortable talking about, even just having like a little like deep breath at the beginning of class, just like, all right, everybody, let's like breathe in, breathe out, just focus. Like even just addressing that everything is really tense right now and just having something to calm us down, like even just one deep breath at the beginning of class could be really impactful if they don't want to have that conversation or if they don't feel comfortable doing that.
So any more students who wanted to speak before I make my last very small but very huge point? So I just feel a lot of times when we start talking about racial issues, we assume that it's Black against white. And we need to understand it is not a Black against white, white against Black issue. People of color are being attacked. Of course, we heard of the one situation that happened where Live Cafe got a brick through the window, but there wasn't any airtime for our Latino sister who also has a business who was robbed and had racial slurs on her business. So it is a point of us discussing things that are just wrong. We're going to recognize it. We're going to be a better community when we have a conversation about it. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. And then it's okay to act. How do we band together and show people that we're better than this? So that's why I bring up, if we're part of a culture, climate, and behavior committee, we always want to check those things, even though we have it all on paper and the paper looks amazing. What is it looking like from our students' purview?
Thank you, Melanie. I realize that it's 8 o'clock, and thank you to the students. I just want to, as we get ready to close right now, when we did our circle in the beginning, a lot of the comments that were said were surrounded the idea that we're able to have the conversations we have in this group because of the relationships that we've developed. We've talked repeatedly at the board level about the ensuring that those relationships and the process of developing those relationships gets carried out and taught and implemented in classrooms so that these types of conversations can be had, right? This is not a new conversation by any means. This is not none of these occurrences, albeit these specific occurrences are new. They're not new to our community. And so our responses and us as an accountability space is to have these conversations in a way that moves the district, like Shalima mentioned it in the beginning about microaggressions, right? These are the macro instances of our community, and we're not addressing it in a way for the students to feel like they can have a space to even take a deep breath. Thank you, Chase, right? So there's, as we continue to have these conversations about accountability measures, it's part of the reason why, as at the board level, and one of the things that I'm going to encourage us to do as a committee is to continue to be active in what the board is doing around, hey, what is happening in these processes? And to the credit of Dr. Pruitt-Adams, the letter that she sent to everyone actually said, take time to talk about this. They're going to make space for this. They're going to, you know, she actually said that. I read that message that encouraged creating the space for what needed to be created, but it was not created by everyone. And for whatever reason that is, if we are to change this system, the accountability that we're having a conversation about right now is the accountability that says, okay, now system, what are we putting in place to make sure that teachers are prepared and ready to have conversations that need to be had? And the voice that is missing in this space tonight, and I say this as a teacher, is the voice of teachers, right? Because we need teacher voice to tell the story of what it is to be in these spaces. Like Nichelle is a teacher, I'm a teacher, like we're in spaces and we are those teachers who have the conversations, right? All the time. But we have colleagues who are teachers who are not having that conversation and we know who they are. So like, I say this as an accountability piece for all of us as educators and education professionals. We are no longer in a place where we cannot have the conversation. It has to be had and students have to at least have it acknowledged for their well-being. So I see your hand, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, but I already talked 3 minutes over.
I want to say, you know, I need to give credit where credit is due. I sent out the letter to the community that was generated by Dr. Ammons. So I just want to give credit where credit is due.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Ammons. You know, this is what I'm saying is, but there is, when we talk about a system now.
Thank you, Dr. Ammons.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ammons. When we talk about a system now and the fact that what we are seeking to do, which Janelle is working very hard at, is to alter how things are showing up in the system. And the administration, the folks that are in this meeting are doing that. And Sherilyn's brand new to her position doing that, right? It's this, all of the spaces are going to need to be able to have this depth of conversation. And what do we need to do systemically for that to be the case? And that's all. That's all. What do we need to do systemically for that to be the case? So, and each of us in this committee holds a piece of that support to create that to be possible for our system. We are the pieces of it. So I know I kept this 5 minutes over because I couldn't stop talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gina, there's just one more huge thing I want to say quickly. We need to ramp up fast because what's coming next is trauma. This is something our community is not used to. We're having things happen here that normally happen on the other side of Austin. As tensions rise, students and families are not going to know how to deal with this. This is trauma. So we need to get ready to have the conversation because that's going to be the next step.
It's actually the trauma conversations already need to be being had, right? What Chase spoke to was the need for us to address trauma. And that's not, and the escalation that we're about to see, as we've been told by people who want to escalate, is about to be worse. So how do we come together? Like, this is the thing. Enough with the othering. I can't sit through one more time. This is why I'm saying that we need the teacher voice here, because we cannot have a conversation about the board, the union, and when I say union, I mean teachers, because I'm the union and I'm a teacher. Like, we cannot have a conversation about the community, the students, the union, and the administration and the board, and not have a conversation about how are we working together. Not like this, right? But with love, not like a fist, you know what I'm saying? So we have to, I hold our committee in a space of, we are the bearers of that. So when Melanie said we could do more and a bunch of people said we can do more, well, now I have to do my research with Gail as the chair of this committee to what does more mean? What more is possible for us as a committee in the support of altering the system? And so be expecting an ask. And the first ask that I'm going to make of this committee is that you go back to that dashboard, you go back to those presentations that they gave us, and that you do some more in-depth discovery for yourself of what you saw and bring more information, submit more questions back to me and copy Gail so that we can move next level. Because what we heard tonight is we see that there's a clear need for some systemic preparation, but we also know that there's more that's in the information that was presented to us. So I just want to say thank you to you all. We have, it's a long road. We're not solving this tonight. We're not solving this school year. We're not solving this our lifetime. There's a lot of unlearning and relearning that has to happen. And we're all a piece of it. We're all a piece of it. So Melanie, thank you for bringing it. And students, thank you for your authenticity and honesty. And thank you to the administration for, all that you put together and continue to strive to do. And that's what we're here for. We're here for each other. We're not here to point fingers. We're here for okay, so now how do we all dig in? I didn't get on a school board so I could just be like, why ain't y'all doing this? How come, what do we need to do? And what do you need me to do to support that? And I hope that that's the feeling that everybody on this committee has. What do we need us to do to be prepared for what's coming and to support our students to the next level? Okay, now we're 8 minutes after. Gina, stop talking. Thank you all.
Thank you.
A first and a second, Jan.
Oh, we need a first and a second too.
First, Melanie first. I move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Dr. Pruitt. Thank you, Dr. LeVar. Thank you, Greg. Almost Dr. Greg, right? How much longer we got?
Not much longer. I got a date later this spring.
All right. All right, Dr. Johnson.
Well, hey, don't go there yet. You can't jinx this thing. Don't do that.
Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody.
Later.
You're welcome.
Michelle, I just want to say how I enjoyed seeing your child jumping on the bed behind you.
Yes, I was thinking that too.